Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined, as always, on the bright, sunny, a little bit cloudy Sunday morning by the great Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you today?
Thank you, Mr. Gary Mack. Doing well. Thank you very much for the introduction. And how about yourself on this kind of like spring day out here? We got baseball to watch later on today.
Baseball to watch at 1 o'clock for me. Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. We've got the crack of the bat and the pop of the gloves going on, and saw a little inter squad thing that the Mets played the other day, so I was happy to see a little bit of that. And I was thinking about this the other day, Rich, how people used to be bored in spring training games, even avid fans. You could say after a while, I don't want to watch that. Because after the fourth or fifth inning, they move in all the minor leaguers and stuff. But since I've been following what I'm not an expert, but since I know a little bit more about the minor leagues, I've been following the Mets a little bit more in the minors. Uh, it's gives me more interest now because now I want to see some of these guys that I've been reading about and that I don't get to see all the time, even though I have the minor league package and I try to watch some of the games, but so it doesn't bother me as much. But Rich, before we get into the whole baseball season thing, we were remiss last week. We forgot all about it. We were talking about the rule changes, and we'll speak some more about that. But we forgot about the passing of Tim McCarver, one of the all-time great announcers and a pretty decent ball player in his own right. He passed away last week, and we're a little late getting to it, but better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the better broadcasters, too. And as you mentioned, great player as well. And, he touched our lives. You're a Mets fan. I'm a Phillies fan. He was greatly involved in both areas there. He was up in New York broadcasting a lot, and he was with the Phillies for many years. But Tim McCarver, he was one of those guys, sort of like a Yogi Berra. He seemed to be around the game forever. There's never a time I didn't remember hearing about him from being a kid. He first came up into the league in 1959 as a 17-year-old, and his career spanned over to 1980, where he wrapped up with the Phillies. And unfortunately, he didn't finish that season with the Phillies, only played 6 games with them. But yeah, McCarver became that great broadcaster that we all loved. I don't think too many people didn't like the way he called the game. But passing of a legend in baseball last week.
Yeah, and he was one of those 4-decade guys, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s he played in, albeit only 6 games in the 80s, but still made it to that era. And he hung on there because he was Steve Carlton's personal catcher with the Phils, and so he kind of hung on for a while, then went to the booth. As you said, he worked for the Mets for many years, did a stint with the Yankees, and of course he was with Fox with Joe Buck for many years. And a lot of people didn't like him. I always liked him. I thought he was a terrific announcer, and I used to like his viewpoint of the game and how he'd break it down for you, especially I always found it better on the Mets games than I did on the national games, more or less. And really, it's been said a lot of times, but he really resurrected Ralph Kiner in a way. When he had come to the Mets, the announcing team was kind of in the doldrums, and Ralph Kiner was kind of mailing it in and everything. And Tim McCarver really got him out of his shell again and really got him telling stories and and just they had fun on the air and really so he's kind of considered reinvigorating, if you will, Ralph Kiner as an announcer. So but he was great. He was here for a number of years and enjoyed listening to him. And sorry to see him go. Another great gone. And I don't know, did they say what he passed from? I don't recall that.
Yeah,
But
I don't remember reading that one, but yeah, he retired in 1980 as a player and called 24 World Series games for
wow,
all the major networks, ABC, CBS, Fox. He was
yeah,
also an analyst. And as you said, 18-year partnership with Fox with play-by-play man Joe Buck. Now, I can leave Joe Buck, but I really liked McCarver's call of the
yeah,
game. He
yeah,
was very level most of the time. Great analysis on games, and just an overall good guy to listen to when you're watching baseball.
yeah. And like I said, I like the way he used to break it down and get everything across to you. So it's sad, but this is what we're getting older, and these guys are getting older and leaving us now. So it's sad, and let's not forget he was a terrific catcher as well, and a decent hitter.
Yeah.
Got a couple of World Series rings, I think, or at least one, and pretty a good career and a good life, and so he'll be missed around baseball. And what more can you say? Our condolences go out to his family and friends, and it's a voice we'll miss.
Yes, indeed. So Tim McCarver passed away at 81 years of age, but let's get on to some more positive stuff here. As we said in the start of this show, we have games to watch finally. Major League Baseball has opened up the camps in Florida and Arizona. The games started a couple days ago now. And the big news on day one, Gary, was Manny Machado being the first player to get a called strike on not being ready in the batter's box when the pitcher was ready to deliver a pitch to him.
Yeah, and we had the first full slate of games with the pitch timer and a defensive shift and all of that. And they're going to enforce it strictly so they can get ready for the season. So that'll be interesting to see as well. And we've had a game ended on a call already. The Red Sox and the Braves. The game ended at the bottom of the ninth with the score tied, as there was no intention. The two teams were not going to play extra innings. Braves infielder Cal Conley was up at bat with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and the count full, and was not alert to the pitcher by the 8-second march of the pitch timer, and was therefore given an automated strike. So he that was it. Strikeout, game over. And of course, in the regular season, we would have went to extra innings, but that's what they have to get used to. And the moments will be many that they're going to learn in this exhibition season. Excuse me, with the hope that most of the wrinkles will be ironed out by opening day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a strange way to end the ball game. We typically think it's either got to be a ball strike coming from the pitcher, a strikeout, something like that. Now it's just time. What a shame. I still am not in favor of this. I don't like timers in baseball. I don't think it was necessary. It's going to shave, 20 minutes off of a game, maybe most times. possibly is what they were saying on some different programs that I was watching. The offense should be the same, they were saying, quote unquote, but you've got these little nuances like you just mentioned. The game ended because of time, not because of a pitch, not because of a swing and miss. That's not baseball to me. I don't like this. And, I hope a lot of baseball purist type fans get on the bandwagon and tell baseball MLB that they don't like this rule.
Well, I think I hate to say it, but I think the opposite's going to happen. I think people are going to like it. They like it in the minor leagues. There is, it's not really, they're not looking at it as a time saver, I don't think. It's to encourage more action, to keep the flow of the game going more. That's one of the complaints from people, that the action breaks down and these guys are walking around the mound, the pitchers, and the guys are coming out of the batter's box and adjusting their glove 57 times. And they're hoping to, that's what they want to avoid. They want to keep the flow of the game moving, so it's more of a constant flow. Now, I know baseball isn't a constant flow kind of game, but
and most sports aren't either, but we can talk about that as well.
This is what they're looking for, and they said that that's what they want to do. They want to get the game flowing better, and the minor league is that they did it the last couple of years, or last year especially, and 90% of them said it took them about a month or so to adjust, and that you really the infractions go down tremendously after a while. So you're not even going to notice it after a while once they get used to it. And I don't, this was the first game, so I think that's why something happened. You're going to see this a couple of times. I think by the regular season, though, everything will be fine. It'll begin to get old hat to a lot of these guys now. We got a question from our good friend Jeff Cohen. Is the pitcher allowed to ask for a change of baseball? If so, does this affect the pitch clock, or is this considered a disengagement? Well, I looked, and I could not really find an answer to that. I guess that'll be one of those things that'll we'll have to see what happens when it happens in a game, and if they consider it as anything. There isn't, MLB has an article up, rule changes explained. I looked through it. I really didn't see anything that would cover what Jeff was asking, but I can give him the link, and maybe he can look and see if he finds anything different. But it's going to be a learning curve for all of us, and I think it's here. So we have to accept it and see how it works out. And it could go away. I mean, if they find out it doesn't work, players complain a lot about it, and then they could always change it. But I think it's going to be here to stay, and I think players will get used to it, and I think we'll probably see some leeway in a big game. I can't see them calling the 7th game of the World Series or something and have it end like on a
but it will,
a clock penalty.
But it will, and that's the shame of it all. Like we say this now, but over time we're going to see that, okay, there's going to be bad calls. It's going to be interpreted by umpires. There's going to be room for more errors. There's a layer on layer of more rules, like you're trying to determine certain things. There's just piles of rules on top of rules now. And before, it was just a game. It was a game for over 100 years, the same way it's always been played. Why change it now? You're going to get less commercials in the game. And that might be a good thing. but you're going to feel a
Oh, there
little
you go.
rushed. You're going to feel a little rushed in the summer at 90 degrees. You want to lollygag a little bit. You want the guy to just, take a sweat off his brow for a second, ask for time. You're not under time with baseball. Now you are, I hope
I hear
that I
you.
can adapt to it, but and I hope that you're right that most people do like it. But if I'm paying money to go to a game like I'm going to be doing this year, I don't want to leave faster. I want to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy and get my money's worth. I want to stay there for a little while. I don't want to just get there and then run out and have to come home. I got a long trip to make for this, spending a lot of money. I don't want to just go there, punch my card, and just turn around and come home. But we'll have to see.
Ya.
We'll have to see what happens.
I
Already,
agree.
there's been impacts in games, and it's spring training. Game 1. Down the line, this is going to be not something that people like. I can almost guarantee you that.
Well, I think we have to wait and see. I think, they expected early on in spring training because it is something new, and they'll have to work the kinks out of it. That's all there is. The players will have to get used to it. Look, I admit I get tired of some of these guys getting out of the box and adjusting. I mean, you used to watch Garcia Parra. He used to be, ridiculous. He'd come after every pitch.
But that was part of his thing, like,
Yeah,
oh, there
but
he
it was,
goes. There he
but
goes,
after a
like,
while, it was like, come on, just get in the freaking box.
okay, but didn't
Yeah.
they have a delay of game rule anytime in baseball? I'm going to have to
No,
go back
not
to the books for
really.
that
No, I don't think
because,
so.
yeah, they could have maybe called it on him. Hey, like, do you think you can get ready? But
He
every
he
pitch, you said he had to
he
adjust
did it
his
all the
batting
time.
gloves.
It got to the point it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to his left
And
glove. Now,
there's
it's right glove.
other players that have had little
Oh,
nuances.
there's
There's
others. Yeah.
pitchers that have little nuances to them too. That's part of baseball. It's not, you didn't tell them, hey, you got to do that in 8 seconds,
Yeah.
or else,
Well, no, they
or
don't.
10
It's
seconds or
15
12
seconds.
seconds.
It's 15 and 19, I believe.
Yeah, but if the
For the
batter
pitcher.
isn't ready
The
by
batter
8
has to be
seconds,
ready. Well,
yeah,
just get in the damn box. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
You watch some of the old films from the 50s and the 60s. These guys never got out of the box and checked the, 1,001 things. They didn't even wear batting gloves, some of these guys, but
And that
they
stings.
got in.
I remember those days.
Yeah. You watch Willie Mays, he never got out of the batter's box hardly.
Right.
And if he did, it was like he'd step back, the lead foot would come back and get back in, and he'd just take a look around. And these guys took it. You know what happened? Here's what happened. They took advantage of the rules, and now it's biting them in the ass. And
Beep.
now they're going the other way.
Right.
If they had just done what people had done in the 50s and the 60s, watch a game from them. Just go back and watch it. You don't feel like you're getting gypped, and yet they'd be out in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And the difference was there wasn't a lot of this fooling around.
Yeah.
I don't like the throwing over. You get 3 pitches because all the guy's got to do is stand there, and then if the guy throws over 3 times, then he can run. I mean, I don't like that idea, but the other stuff, and I'm not crazy about either. But I do think you had to do something with the batters and these pitches strolling around the mound and all of this stuff, and they took advantage of it. And now it's coming home to roost.
All right. Well, we'll have to monitor this as it goes on, and we're only into what, day 2 or 3 of spring training games here.
Yeah, I mean, so
interesting.
That's
as it starts off, but just wanted to remind our listeners out there, we do a version of this show on Facebook, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/the Baseball Talk Radio Show. If you go there, you can hit subscribe and you'll get notified when we have new videos. If you click the little bell that's on that page, you can also find out when our latest video goes up right away. So you don't even have to worry about it. You'll get a notification about it. So check that out over at youtube.com/the Baseball Talk Radio Show. And if you follow us on Facebook, I invite you guys to hit like and share on the Baseball Talk Radio Show page. If you see our live stream that we do, usually in the off season and in the spring, it's on Sundays, but hit like and share so your friends can see us. Maybe they'll want to subscribe to the show too there on Facebook. I appreciate that. And it lets us know that you watched the show for a minute, even if it's 10 seconds. Give us a little encouragement to keep broadcasting the show, because it costs money to do it. And, we don't make a ton of money on the show. So give us that little encouragement, help us get more listeners, and we would appreciate it greatly.
Yes, please do. And Rich, we have some breaking news.
Ba-ba-da-bum.
Yeah, I don't have any music.
There we go. Breaking news.
Manny Machado, who you mentioned already, has signed, or reportedly has signed an extension with the San Diego Padres for 11 years, $350 million contract extension. Will run through 2033. He'll be 41 years old now. A couple of days ago or last week, he announced his intention of opting out of his current contract, and he had 6 years and $180 million remaining on that contract. So he picks up another 5 years and another $170 million off of the Padres, and takes himself off the free agent market. So the Mets were looking at him as a potential free agent third baseman next year after losing out on Carlos Correa. You know what? I'm kind of glad that he signed it. I don't think I would have wanted him here necessarily. And the Mets have a young guy that they want to play. He's a third baseman. We'll see what kind of spring he has. He's gotten off to a good start already. But this would have blocked him with this team. So I think it's kind of a good thing he's staying with the Padres. That'll open up spots. And not that Machado is necessarily going to come here, but, the Mets were looking in that direction. So let him stay there. Let the young guy have his shot here, and hopefully it'll all work out for the better.
Huge deal for Machado there. I didn't see this coming from the Padres. The Padres must have lost their mind, Gary. This is a contract that I think they're going to regret over time. As we mentioned last week, he's batted .280 with 108 home runs. I did the math. If you watched or listened to last week's show, it's not phenomenal, and it's not Aaron Judge, and it's not Mike Trout. It's Manny Machado. I think he just has some sort of mojo with the name. He's not that great of a player. He's not. He's not a superstar, in my opinion. He's above average, but I think his name and his, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I don't even think he's worth half of that money. I would have let him walk.
I think a lot of it has been that he was the start of the turnaround, helped get players to San Diego, and they didn't want to lose that. And he did have a good year last year. He was an all-star, did help lead them into the playoffs. And so I don't think they wanted to lose that and they're going for broke now. They want to win, and so you can't blame them in a way. This is part of it. They feel they need him. He's young enough that at 30 that they think he'll stay till 41. So we'll see. I do agree with you that probably at the back end of the contract it's going to hurt them, but if they win a world championship or two in between those 11 years, then it'll be successful.
Yes, it will. Manny Machado cashing in. But what that does is also set precedents for other players. Mike Trout sitting back. Oh, well, if Machado got that much, I should be worth this much. And then it goes on and on and on. Where it stops, nobody knows. But this contract is definitely wild. I don't think he's in the top 5, top 8, top 9 baseball players in the league. Maybe the National League if you stretched it, but certainly not in the MLB, in my opinion. But evidently, San Diego thinks he is, and I'm so glad that the Phillies did not sign him. They were entertaining that notion of signing him. For some reason, they passed on him, or he passed on them, and I'm so happy for that. Around that time is I believe the time we got Bryce Harper anyway. So who would you rather have, Bryce Harper or Manny Machado? Come on. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, but then again, Harper's been injured sometimes, so
but he's a game changer. He's the show. He's the show.
I think you're red
showing my homers.
Prejudice is
showing my homers.
Coming out there.
No,
Rick.
the guy's a game changer. Come on. Give him just due.
Oh, I take him in a heartbeat, but it's a different kind of player too. He's an outfielder, and this is a third baseman. It's hard to find good third baseman. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen out there, though, because now they got Tatis Jr. coming back, and he's on a big, huge contract, and they just signed the guy from Boston, Bogarts, who's also a shortstop. So who's going to play short? Somebody's going to have to move to second. Tatis missed all of last year with an injury, and then some other issues. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go there. But I think that's part of the reason they wanted to hang on to Machado, and they did.
Yep. So if you're watching our YouTube or our live Facebook feed there, Machado can get himself a few more suits. The leisure suits that he's wearing there in that photo, going to the All-Star game last year in LA there, along with his wife there. But Manny Machado cashing in big time. You might as well say he hit the lottery if this is true.
Look, he hit it with the first contract too.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. They had $30 million a year.
Not at all.
Now he stretched it out a little bit. When's enough money? Who knows? But if you can get it, you got to get it.
All right, but don't cry when they start raising the ticket prices. All these players are getting, and then hot dogs are $20, and beers $25. It's already $30-$40 to park.
Yeah, I know.
As we've been lamenting about on the show for years, but I don't know. Just
I guess I'll be watching a lot of games on TV.
yeah, that's true. Well, another season is starting up. We'll have some reports on some ballpark foods. I know down in Clearwater, the Phillies are having the tiki bar open down there, and you see the palm trees swaying. So we've got baseball this afternoon on a Sunday. I think I'll be able to watch a couple innings finally. as it happens. But so glad the game is back. I feel so much better when baseball is on. And I had a short off season because the Phillies made the World Series, but it's been a long winter.
Yeah,
Still is.
it has been, and thankfully the weather's been reasonable the whole winter. Didn't have at least in our part of the country, didn't get a lot of snow or things like that, no blizzards. But yeah, it's still been a long winter, and it'll be nice to see some sunshine today on TV with the balls, and as I said before, the crack of the bat and the pop of the glove, always a
Why?
great thing to see, and
Yep,
and enjoy baseball.
that's for sure. So one thing hasn't changed. The game is still baseball, and we're going to enjoy it, and we hope you do too. If you have a question or comment or a topic that we should cover on the show, please send it in to Gary at baseballtalkradio.com or Rich at baseballtalkradio.com. We'll be glad to address it on the air. And we want to tell you about baseballtalkradio.com itself. That's the home for great baseball talk shows, about 35, I believe, right now, including Gary's Mets Musings. We have Ed Casputis with his great baseball PhD show, along with Farley and Mark, and of course, Baseball on Barbecue with Jeff and Len, and a host of other ones. I even put some national ones on there, Chris Rose. So you can go there and listen to a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week radio feed as well, wherever you are on the planet, across the world. If you've ever wanted to listen to some baseball talk, now you can go right to this source and hear it. So baseballtalkradio.com, the home for great baseball talk shows.
There you go.
Well, we'll join you next week, Gary. We'll be talking a whole lot more. Got some topics on the burner. I'm sure these rule changes will come into play. We'll have a lot more to talk about with the listeners here for the podcast and our live stream and video version of the show. It's always fun. I'm looking forward to this season in 23.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of conversations this season over the rule changes, unfortunately. But I'll be curious today. I want to see the bigger bases as well. I did notice it the other day. It was just an inter squad game. I don't even know if they used them or not, but I would imagine that they did. But I was paying more attention, and it was on YouTube, so it was it wasn't really the whole setup like they normally would do for a game. So I'm interested today to see what the bases look like, how the players react to it, and everything else, all the new rules. So should be interesting.
Yeah, remember when they came out with those batting helmets that were real huge? The guys look like Kazoo almost. Remember Kazoo? These are the way these bases are going to look. These huge, whoop, even though they say, not that much bigger.
They remember the pitcher had the big,
the big helmet. Helmet, helmet hat.
And I remember David Wright wearing one of those kazoo, as you call it, helmets there after getting hit in the head. But if it's added protection, it's added protection. But it should be fascinating, and we'll see how it all works out. You know what's going to happen in a year or two? It's just going to be old hat. It'll be used to it. It'll be like it was always there.
Yep. Old hat indeed, more ways than one. But thanks for listening to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show, everyone, and we'll see you next week for another one.